Hey, how are you all? I wish and I hope you are safe. Be joyful and keep smiles. Be safe, huh? Don't roam around. Just be safe for the time being and be joyful. Chaliye, let's start. Okay, finally, we move on to the next chapter, chapter 2, which is named Motion. The name of the chapter, as we all you will know, is MOTION, motion. And this will be our first lecture on motion, first class. So before we start the chapter, I just want you all to have a brief idea about what we'll be learning, or what knowledge we'll try to gain from this chapter. First thing we'll study about is rest and motion. We'll try to understand what is the meaning of rest. We'll try to understand what is the meaning of rest and motion. What do we understand by the word motion? What do we understand by the word rest? Their meaning, and we'll just pinpoint the idea that rest and motion are relative word. We'll try to understand this line. First we'll try to understand what do we mean by rest, then we'll try to understand what do we actually mean by motion, and then we'll pinpoint the phrase that rest and motion are relative words. They are relative. It depends upon the fact, it depends upon the observer and the surrounding in which the motion is being observed. Forget it. Then we'll try to move on different types of motion. We'll study 7 types of motion. Means the motion can be classified into 7 categories. We'll study 7 types of motion. We'll study that. Then we'll move on the very important, interesting topic, speed, which will give rise to uniform motion, non-uniform motion. We'll understand what does this mean. Then non-uniform motion will introduce what is called average speed. We'll see that. Then this is important. This will be fun part. This will be fun. Solving numericals. I hope you will enjoy solving numericals. And then we'll move on to the last topic, which is mass and weight. Mass and weight. And then finally we'll try to understand what do we mean by mass, what do we mean by weight, and then again we'll solve numericals, which will be fun. I hope you enjoy solving numericals now. Finally, is it clear? I just want you all to have a brief idea what we really want to study in this chapter. What is that we can get out of this chapter? Fine, we'll get many things. First, just try to understand. Then we'll move on to the next slide. If you want, see, what you can do is, if you want, you can copy these entire thing that we'll study on your Excel book. There is no problem with that. You can copy each and everything that is written on the board in your exercise book, so that it will later on, when you study for your examination, it will become much more easier for you to study. Is it clear? Great. Okay, then we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, fine. So we'll start. Okay, we'll start with the first topic, which is rest and motion. Fine. Just try to visualize. First thing first. If I just hold the pen over here for what do you see? The pen position is not changing with surrounding. The position of the pen is not changing with surrounding, nor with time. That is, the position of pen is not changing with the time and surrounding. If is it not, then we say the body is in state of rest. On the other hand, if the position of the body changes with respect to the surrounding, with time, we say the body is in motion. Itna clear ho? Is it clear? What do you mean by rest and motion? Just try to understand. If the position of the body with respect to the surrounding does not change, we say the body is at rest. Similarly, if the position of the body changes with respect to time, we say the body is in motion. Is it clear? Chalo, let's write it down. Let's write it down. Rest. If the position of the body changes with if the position of the body changes if the position of the body changes with respect the position of body with respect to sorry एक सेकंड I just missed one point. If the position of the body हाँ यहाँ पे गलती कर दी ना just a minute if the position of the body with respect to the surrounding surrounding if the position of the body with respect to the surrounding changes with time, we say the body is at rest. We say the body is in the state of rest. ठीक है? And on the other hand, for motion, what can we say is if the position of the body with respect to the surrounding कुछ गलती कर दी ना हम surrounding does not change उल्टा कर दिया ना sorry ऐसे मेरा मिस्टेक हो गया does not change if it does not change then at rest if it changes with time sorry yeah मेरा mistake with time we say the body is in state of motion. Is it clear? This time we say the body is in state of motion. Simple. If the position of the body with respect to surrounding does not change, we say it is in rest. If it changes, we say it is in motion. Is it clear? Rest and motion. Is it clear? Chalo, fine. Or now you can add your examples. देखिए examples you will have to add on your own. You can have many examples as possible. What can be the best example? Clock hanging on a wall. A clock hanging on wall. The clock will always remain at rest. It will not move in position. Number 2. The mountain will always be in state of rest. It will never change its position. You can give one example over here. What can be the example of motion? The wind, the fast moving air, it changes position with time. Wind. Number 2, the bird flying in sky, the bird flying flying in the sky and many more. You can just add on. No, you can add whatever you want to add. What can you say? A person sleeping. A person sleeping peacefully. You can go on adding whatever you want to add. There's nothing wrong with it. You can add one more. The statue of an object. देखो आप ऐड करते जा सकते हो. You can keep on adding. There's no harm with that. For fish swimming, the swimming fish, SWIM, swimming fish, and so on. You can add on your own whatever you want to write. I hope it's clear. What is the meaning of rest? What is the meaning of motion? I hope it's clear. We'll move on to the next slide. Sure. Next thing. Next, what we'll try to understand is that rest and motion are relative terms. Now, by this relative term, we mean is that suppose here I have a person X. I'll just write down over here. Just try to understand first. Relative, this statement means that an object, this is an object, any object. Let's the name of the object be A. Now this object can be in the state of rest relative to certain object, relative to some objects, some object, say X, and at the same time this object A can also be simultaneously be in the state of motion relative to some other object, relative to some other object. Means the same person or the object A can be in the state of rest with respect to some object, and at the same time he can also be in the state of motion with some certain state of object, say Y. Means what we are trying to say is the same person, the same object can either be in the state of rest or in the state of motion simultaneously. These two things are possible. These two are possible simultaneously. Fine. Now, since these two are possible simultaneously, hence we say rest and motion are relative terms. It depends on the observer who is observing the motion. I'll give an example. I'll just give an example to make you understand. Suppose this is a beautiful road. Over here we have a beautiful tree. Fine. Over on this beautiful road we have a beautiful car over here. We have wheels also, and this beautiful car has windows also, and over here we have one person, and over here we have another person. Suppose this is you, Y-O-U, you. Suppose this is your driver. Oh, rich person you are, having driver, good. Okay, fine. And suppose this is me. I'm over here, I am standing on the road. I'm just standing over here. Standing on road. And you are moving in a car. And you are there in a moving car. Moving car. Fine? So, fine, not I understand. If I see the state of, sorry, if we try to observe your motion with respect to the driver, with respect to driver, you will appear to the driver. Let's try to understand. To the driver. To the driver, you will appear to be in state of rest. Or if there are other members of your family in the car, with respect to your family, you will be in a state of rest. Is it clear what I'm saying? Means when a driver looks at you, your position is not changing with time. Hence, with respect to driver, for with relative to the driver, you are in state of rest. Fine? But relative to me, this is me, Abhishek sir. I'll better write my initials on AG. But with respect to AG, it's me. But relative to the AG sir, you are in state of motion. Why? Because when I am standing over here, I see the car moving, and inside the car you are there, and even I see you are also moving. So your position happens to change with respect to me. For me, I see that your position is constantly changing. At some instant of time t, you are over here, then you will move on, then again you will move there. For me, I see you in motion, in a state of motion. But for the same you, with respect to the driver, you are in state of rest. So what do you mean by that? Motion and rest depends upon the observer who is observing. If this is the observer, observer and this is another observer. With respect to observer, which is driver, you appear to be at rest, and for the observer, me, you appear to be in motion. Why? Because your position constantly changes. But with respect to driver, if this is you and this is you and this is your driver, they move like this. You are moving in a car like this. See, if this is the car, you are moving. The position of yours position with respect to driver is always the same. Is always the same. That's it. Is it clear? I hope it's clear. Okay, fine. We'll move on to the next slide. Hence, we say rest and motion are relative terms. You have to just understand this. Okay? So for the time being, see, the entire purpose of this video making is to make you understand. The writing part is already provided in your PDF. You can easily write whatever is there in the PDF. But for understanding, you understand now. We'll move on next slide. Okay, what we'll do is we'll end this lecture over here because I don't want it to make too lengthy. I just wanted to keep it around 20-25 minutes so that you can actually understand also. And I want to keep it short so that you don't get over I don't want to overburden you all. Fine, I hope it's clear. So the basic idea was to understand that what is inside the chapter, what things we will study in this chapter. Then we try to understand what is mean by rest, examples of rest, state of rest, motion, and then we try to understand what is meaning by motion, examples of different types of particles, objects exhibiting motion, and then we try to understand why are they called relative terms. Why are they called relative terms? We'll end this class over here. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day ahead.